Hey, yo. What up, y'all? This is Wax. Wax's podcast. Jesus Christ. Should have drank some water before doing this podcast. I might actually have to do that. I drank 2 cups of coffee with creamer in them. And anybody that knows about dairy products such as milk, when you drink them, it makes you sound phlegmy, like the way I sound right now. Phlegmy from Motorhead. I don't even know what's Lemmy's last name? Lemmy. He's one of those rock stars, man. You just know him by the one word. He's like a Brazilian soccer player or a rapper. He's got a one-word name, Slash. But Lemmy, I believe, is his real name. God damn, you can hear some of that phlegm coming up, can't you? I'll tell you why. Not only did I not drink any water this morning, I only drank cream-filled coffee. But I'm still kind of in recovery mode, y'all. I'm in a little bit of a recovery mode from Las Vegas. Took an extended weekend in Las Vegas, y'all. Little extended trip. Shout out to the one and only T-Rex and my boy RT. RT Steckel, check him out. Funny comedian. Both of whom were performing at the LA Comedy Club inside the Stratosphere this past weekend. Don't go there this weekend thinking they're going to be there because they won't. But they killed it at every show that I went to. And I had a great time up there. That said, it takes a long time to recover when you get old. You do a rough weekend full of alcohol and cigarettes, things of that nature. You don't even have to smoke cigarettes. If you're hanging out at casinos and shit in Las Vegas, you're pretty much smoking a pack a day. Because you're still allowed to smoke inside of those casinos there in Vegas. Feels like you're in one of those airport smoking in lounges. Not quite that harsh. But, definitely affects your throat, lungs, and voice in general. But, you get older, it just takes a long time to recover. There was an X and Y axis. If any of you guys remember algebra from high school, if you remember parabolas, if the x-axis, which I believe the x-axis is horizontal. So if that went in terms of age, and the y-axis, which is vertical, if that was time, the length of time required to recover from a trip to Las Vegas, that would be a pretty steep parabola. Not steep. But it would be parabolic, okay? So needless to say because I've already been talking about it, so I did say it. So saying needless to say doesn't even make sense when I just said it. Needless to say again, even though I'm about to, I'm still kind of recovering. Actually, it's already Wednesday. I mean, I'm kind of done recovering, but I wanted to talk about how it takes a longer time to recover. So all you guys listening, all you crazy kids, you 20-year-olds. I remember when I was in like my early 20s, especially, it's one thing when I was in college. It was another thing, especially when I got out of college. I had a job when I got out of college. I worked in D.C. I was basically an administrative assistant. I had the dumbest job. It was so dumb what my job was. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you exactly what it was. I worked for an electrical engineering company. I'm not going to say the name of the company. I worked for an electrical engineering firm. This firm was in Washington, D.C., and it was basically a liaison, a middleman between radio stations and the FCC. And your immediate thought is, oh, you had something to do with censorship and whatnot, because that's what you usually think about when you think of radio and the FCC. But no, this was like a technical thing. There was like technical. I didn't understand exactly what they did because I wasn't an engineer like that. But they worked on antennas and like how far an antenna had to be from this place and how close an antenna for a radio station could be to another radio station and who owns the fucking radio field around, whatever. Tech specs. None of that matters as far as what I did. In the basement of the office, there was a room. The basement was filled with boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of old-ass files. Like stuff they did in the 50s, 60s. Like boxes of manila folders that contained files that were like on typewriters and shit. Typographic font. Looking like, I don't know, I guess it's typographic. I don't know what the name of the font is for just, I think it's just called typewriter, actually, typewriter font. If you look at my album called Continue, the way that the word continue is written, I believe it's typewriter font. Anyway, old-ass pieces of paper. There's a room full of boxes on boxes on boxes of old-ass paper, and what they wanted to do was get rid of all this shit. So at this time, you know, they hired somebody. They actually hired like 2 or 3 people that would take shifts. I think some people would work it like a little later at night or whatever. It doesn't matter. My job would be to when I get there, I go down. I had a couple, don't get me wrong, there was a couple other tasks that were a little more worthwhile, but my main task, the reason that I was hired, and this is, keep in mind, I was fresh out of college with a degree in political science. They could have given this job to a fucking 4-year-old child. Well, the 4-year-old child wouldn't have been able to carry the boxes. Go down to the basement, grab a box. You didn't have to carry it all the way up to the office. You put it on like a little cart. Take it up to my little cubicle area and start scanning. Just scan the documents and save them. At this time, the scanner that we had was super slow too. It was a really, really slow scanner. So the job was just, it was like, you know, a 2-year-long job, probably more than that. To just scan and save. And the fucked up part about it, the reason it was so stupid, is because the whole reason those files were down there in the first place is because the owner of the company was kind of like a pack rat. A little bit of a hoarder when it comes to this shit. And thinking back, that like he literally was. The office, like, it wasn't a nice office. Like, it probably was nice as far as, like, it was in downtown D.C., a few blocks from the White House. The rent, I imagine, for this office was super expensive, but if you go inside there, like, it just looked like some old lady's house. Files everywhere, you know? And once I was done scanning a box of documents, you know what the fuck I would do with it? Take it right back down to the basement and put it back where it was. There's no way that they ever looked at any of that shit. You know what's funny is if I was feeling lazy, if I'd get to the end of the box and didn't want to scan any more files, or no, if I get to the end of the box and I didn't feel like going downstairs, getting up to go downstairs and grabbing another box and putting the other one back down there, I just take like the last 30 pages of the box and I just fucking scan them. Then I just hit delete. Then scan them again. Hit delete. Scan them again. Hit delete. You know what I'm saying? Just to make it look like I was doing something. You could always just make it look like you were busy. But I mean, dude, after days of that, after less than a week of that job, I was just like, oh my God, this job really makes you feel useless. It's a bad feeling to have a job like that. Just wasting time. And this was, I'm telling you, man, I'm older. This was back, I don't know what year it was, but this was back when, like, the internet was slow. It's not like I'm sitting there. This is before social media. This is pre-MySpace. Like, if I did any web surfing, which I definitely did, it was like, I don't even know what the fuck I'd be looking at that time. Definitely like music shit, I guess. I don't even know what I was looking at online. I remember, like, you know, hitting the X button on the browser when the boss would come around so he wouldn't see me looking at shit. But there was no Facebook. There was no MySpace. This was back when I was in a band. And if you were in a band at that time, your web presence was a .com. Everybody had a .com. And you know what? A lot of it was message boards. I'd be on message boards. That's what it was. Our website had a message board for my band, and then there was other like music websites that would have message boards, and you'd be like a member of the message board and become, you'd be on the motherfucker. I remember those times, the early internet surfing times. I don't remember why I got into that story, why I got into my first job. Oh, because in those days, when I was 20, 21, or however old I was at that job, I remember I just had like 10 memories of those days flash into my head, but I remember you go out on a Thursday. I lived in a college town. I lived in College Park, Maryland. That's where I went to school. And even after, it was so close to Washington, D.C., that it was a good place to live for like job opportunities anyway, especially considering I had a political science degree, which I never fucking used. I never had a job with that degree. But anyway, lived in a college town. And you'd go out on Thursday nights. Thursday night was actually the dopest night to go out. We'd go to town hall, close that shit out, 2 a.m., close it out. Then you continue to rage at the house. And I remember, like, you wouldn't have any real thoughts like, oh, I can't do this because I have work tomorrow. You'd be like, well, work's going to be a little difficult. But you could get 2 hours of sleep, go in there still feeling like you had whiskey in your eyeballs, and kind of make it through the day. And I guess the bosses and shit didn't know that you were rough. Probably the reality of it is that you were just young and dumb and didn't give a fuck and thought you were being a good faker but weren't. I don't know. Nowadays it's different though. Like I said, that parabola. I went to Vegas this past weekend. I got back Monday. And to be fair, we did rage a lot. But it takes a while to recover. Since I got home, I was going to be like, you know what? I'm just going to start a health kick, 30 days in a row. All health food, exercise every day, no drinking, no smoking, no nothing like that. But I needed a recovery day. So when I got home, I was the only one home, and I ordered some fucking pizza and wings. And it's funny, if you order pizza and wings by yourself, you get the meal deal. You look at it like, yeah, let me get that extra large pizza and the family style wings. Like, you're dedicating yourself to, like, the next 4 meals you eat are going to be pizza and wings. I still got some. My dinner tonight is going to be pizza and wings, and that should be the last of it. But it's Wednesday, and I'm still just being a fat, lazy fuck. That's what I'm doing right now. Starting tomorrow, Starting tomorrow. Well, I don't know how much I can do it tomorrow. Tomorrow I have to do a music video shoot. It's not for my song. It's for a song I featured on a while ago. Doing a music video shoot tomorrow. I thought it would be quick, but it turns out it's going to take like most of the day. It's actually going to take longer to do this music video than it did for me to write and record my feature part on the song, which is kind of interesting. But it should be cool. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So I guess Friday I'm going to start my 30-day kick, which is actually perfect timing. Perfect timing to do like a 30 days of health and sobriety. Because after that, it's my birthday. And my birthday's fun because I have a twin brother. So me and my brother will celebrate our birthday together. And then, take it from there. What else is going on? God damn it. I'm sorry that I sound like that. I'm sorry that I sound so saucy. Super savage. Been listening to that Thundercat album. Check that out. It's called Drunk. Recommended by my boy EOM. Always accept his recommendations. He always knows what he's talking about with music. Even though he's not always right. Don't think that he's always right about music. He'll say some shit sucks. Movies too. He's one of those people that just has a strong opinion. He doesn't sit on fences. I know a lot of people like that. He doesn't tend to sit on the fence and say something's okay. It's either amazing and life-changing. Life-changing is a word he would use to describe an album. I don't think I've ever considered an album of music life-changing. I mean, yeah, it changed the fact that the last 45 minutes, instead of doing something else, I listened to this album. Yeah, it changed my life. I mean, I could argue that, if you've ever seen that movie, which I forget the fucking name of, but there's one called The Butterfly Effect, and there's one called like Sliding Doors that show like these little things can have a drastic impact on your life. Like if I missed the bus and I have to wait till the next one, I wouldn't have met my wife on the bus. That's a life-changing experience. Listening to the new fucking Kanye album or whatever, it's not a life-changing experience. Although it is, if changing is the word changing is a relative word. I could just do this. Bam, life-changing experience. That 1 second could be the difference where later today I'm looking down at my phone while crossing the street and I don't get hit by a car because that 1 second I just added to my life. Bam, life-changing experience. Anyway, give E his props. He did recommend me the new Thundercat album, which is amazing. He did... Can't remember any of his other recent recommendations. He's been listening to podcasts, recommending me podcasts recently. What else is going on? Oh, yeah, you know what I wanted to say? This is the only thing I wrote. No, I did. Let me see. I wrote a couple things down this week. That's right. One of them was the thing about taking longer to recover. Oh, that was a weird one that I wrote down there. I don't know how to... Oh, I wanted to say, if you listened to the podcast last week, I was talking about how I was trying to do some advertising on the podcast. Not a lot. It's not like every single second I'm going to be like, speaking of life-changing, like I was just talking about, Roto-Rooter. Oh, speaking of pizza, Papa John's. Speaking of Vegas, book your trip now, Expedia. It's not going to be like that. It's just going to be a couple ads, but you know what? In order to make this happen, 200. It doesn't let me see how many people have done it yet, but I guess since they haven't emailed me that I didn't get the 200. If you go to my Twitter, twitter.com/bigwax, BIGWAX. The top tweet, the pinned tweet, pinned. That means no matter how many times I tweet, which is really not that much. I don't tweet that much. But no matter how many times I tweet, the pinned tweet will always appear as the top tweet. And right now there's a link that says to fill out the survey to help me out. I swear to God, this survey is the shortest, easiest survey. I'm not just saying that to be funny or to be silly or to get you to do it. It's comical how short and easy this survey is to fill out. I need 200 people to fill it out for me to qualify for to put some ads on my podcast. And when I say ads, don't get all scared like it's going to be some corporate bullshit, man. I think I probably do one or two like little things where I'm like, oh yeah, fucking Dollar Shave Club. You want to shave or whatever those companies that are always on podcasts. It's not going to be a big change, but what will most likely change with the advent of advertising, the advertising adventure, what will change is the consistency with which I put out the podcast. Right now, I lose money doing the podcast. If I'm gaining a little bit of money, if I can tell myself, you know what, if I do a podcast this week, that means all the podcasts I did this month will add up to paying my fucking $10 Netflix bill. That's probably, I don't know, I have no idea how much that this shit is worth. I don't know how much I make off this shit. But I can tell you this. Money talks. And I listen. Money talks. Remember when I just did fucking 2 months straight with no podcast? Remember that? As you cried, you sat in your cubicle or your car or at your house or at your landscaping job and you cried like a baby. Where's Wax's podcast? Remember that? Not going to happen again, folks. If I'm getting some money doing this bullshit, not saying it's bullshit, but it is kind of bullshit. I'm just bullshitting. It's literally bullshit. If I have a little bit of change coming into the old pox, it's short for pockets. if I have some change for the pox, it's very likely that I will put out a podcast every week. I love doing the podcast, but sometimes I ain't got time. Sometimes I'm too lazy. You guys would be surprised. Sometimes I just wake up on the fucking wrong side of the bed and I try to record one and it just doesn't come out right. No flow, whatever. But at this point, I'm a relatively experienced podcaster and I can usually get it done. And, trying to put some ads on this motherfucker. So my point is, guys, if you haven't done it yet, go to my Twitter, twitter.com/bigwax. While you're there, follow me. Shit. Fucking follow me on Twitter. My Instagram is the same, @bigwax. Facebook.com/wax.com. Do all that, follow and like and all that shit. But when you go to my Twitter, the point is go click on that survey. It'll take you 1 minute tops to fill out. And once I get 200 people, I can start doing ads. Hopefully that'll start soon. You know, all that shit. Like, follow. Facebook is funny, man. I was looking at, there's somebody that has more likes on Facebook than me, and I actually had a little thing this morning where I got a little jealous. There's somebody that has more likes than me on Facebook that does something that somebody that I know that fucking became like a I guess they're like a Trump support page. Now they got more likes on Facebook than me. They like just started supporting Trump. And now they got more likes on Facebook than Wax. But you know, Wax doesn't have to ride the coattails of a politician in order to get his likes, okay? Those are piggyback likes. What are you going to do when he's not president anymore? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Keep on trucking. But you know what else? Oh, Jesus Christ. You know what I realized? This was something I wrote down. I didn't shout out the person. The person's name is Sully. Shout out to Sully. I don't know if you noticed, I had a new podcast jingle at the beginning. New podcast jingle, the trap version. Trap version of the Wax's podcast intro jingle. Fuck. What I liked about it is that stolen melody is such a silly nursery rhyme melody that it sounded nice to put the trap beat under it. Just had a good little juxtaposition there, which I believe represents the podcast well. A little bit of hip hop, a lot of bit of silliness, right? That's where I'm at. And that's where Sully was at when he recorded that. Speaking of stuff you can do related to the podcast, feel free to do one yourself. beatsforwax@gmail.com. Feel free to make your own Wax's podcast jingle. I haven't done the real one as a jingle in a while, so if you're new to the podcast and you just started listening with the recent episodes, if you go to like episode 10 or I don't know what episode, some of the earlier ones, the original was just me singing. And it's a fucking copy of the Light Bright theme song from the 80s. Wax's podcast, talking mad shit about interesting facts. Wax's podcast, listen to it every Wednesday. That was the jingle. If you want to make your own jingle, send it to me at beatsforwax@gmail.com. It's not like maybe I'll play it. It's not like, oh, if I like it, I might play it. It is a guarantee, an absolute fact. If you send me the best Wax's podcast jingle of all time, if you send me the worst pile of garbage version of the Wax's podcast jingle, or if you send me a middle-of-the-road, mediocre snooze fest, no, not remarkable. There's no remark you can make. 50% on RottenTomatoes.com if it was a movie or something like that. If you send me the most middle-of-the-road, boring, non-good or bad version of the Wax's podcast jingle, any of those will guarantee, will 100% factually be played. I will play any fucking version of the Waxes podcast jingle that I've never been sent one that I didn't play. I might have been sent one that I played once and then forgot about it. Of course, I have favorites. Shout out to Patient Zero. Shout out to my boy J Cub. Shout out to Aaron the violinist. But yeah. Send me one if you want to. The only other thing I wrote down, who was I watching when I saw this? Oh, there was I don't even know how to put this into words because I never formulated it in my head. I just wrote it down. It just made me feel some type of way. I saw somebody online that was a musician, and they were being real arrogant. Just like super duper arrogant. Just fucking full of themselves, pompous douchebag. And I was just like, ugh. Go away. Just made me wonder myself, do I think that because I'm like that? You've heard the expression before that, the people that hate, I don't know if there's an expression. It's not like, put your money where your mouth is, or grass is always greener. It's not like an expression, but the people that don't like, there's a genre of human being called the know-it-all. And I think people who don't like know-it-alls it's usually because they're know-it-alls themselves. And people who don't like arrogant people that think they're the shit are actually arrogant themselves because they're looking at it like, fuck you, I'm the shit. How could you possibly be that amazing when I'm more amazing than anybody? So yeah, it just got me thinking, like, I wonder if I tend to be spiteful towards know-it-alls and arrogant people because I'm an arrogant know-it-all myself. I don't really have any commentary on that. Just wondering if it's true. I don't get a lot of people telling me that obviously I'm a rapper, so I brag in my raps that I'm the best or whatever. But that's kind of par for the course. I don't get a lot of people telling me that I'm an arrogant know-it-all, but you have friends. You have friends. Let's say you're on a road trip with a group of people. I mean, I've been on these trips many times before. You're on tour. You got 10 people in a van. Every single person in that van at one point on the tour has been not present and had at least a couple other people say something negative about them. Say something behind their back, even if it's like the most measly, fun insult. And you wonder what is it they say about you. I think for me it must be that I'm a know-it-all. I think I know everything. I think I'm starting to realize that. That I think I fucking know everything. But you know what? I'm here today to tell you that I don't. What the fuck am I talking about? Let's go to some shout-outs and questions, y'all. I'm back, motherfuckers. I'm back on episode 130 of Wax's podcast. So you know what? If you've done 65 podcasts, guess what? I've done twice as many as you. So step your game up, you hypothetical lazy piece of shit. You got to do 65 more to be fucking with me. What was I saying? Something about being arrogant? All right, where are we at? Once again, shout out to the homie Sully on the new jingle. Like I said a couple minutes ago, beatsforwax@gmail.com. If you want to make a jingle yourself, it is a 1,000% guarantee that I will play it. I've never received a jingle and said, oh, I don't like the hi-hat. See, if he would have just made a different woodblock sound, maybe I would play the jingle at the beginning of the podcast. But he decided to go with the high-pitched woodblock. I would have done more like a full, low-body woodblock. How could you dare use that tambourine? We got Petey Machete, my man Petey Machete, who says, this is a classic from Petey Machete, and I like that I'm just fucking with him. If you remember on the last podcast, he said something about tell him he sucks. And I don't remember what he said, but he hit me up to blame his mistake on autocorrect. And I get it. I've definitely had typos. I don't use autocorrect. I'm a fucking true man. Hear that, Petey Machete? I'm just fucking with you, man. Whatever Petey Machete said last week that it changed EM to ME. So he was trying to talk shit, get me to talk shit about his boy, but instead he said to talk shit about him. He blamed it on autocorrect. A likely story, Mr. Machete. You need to control yourself, Mr. Machete. Anybody get that reference? Remember Control Machete? Arteria pesada. Shout out to Herbal T, if you're listening. Guarantee he knows that reference. We got Moritz from Germany, or Moritz, Moritz from Germany. Shout out to you, homie. And Petey Machete, I'm sorry, man. Just fucking with you. The old autocorrect story. I fuck up with typos too, but I don't really use autocorrect because autocorrect always fucks up. But what is it like? There's two letters that are right next to each other on the keyboard. It's two vowels. Maybe it's U. Wait, no, is the keyboard on a fucking? I think it's U and I that I always get backwards. That always fucks shit up. Doesn't matter. All that matters is shout out to you, Petey Machete. We got Jackie Sweetleaf. Shout out to you, Jackie. Nick D, a producer who makes tight-ass beats. Shout out to you, Nick. We got Lucas M. Lucas M, as in mustard and mayonnaise. All right, then we got Jacob E, who says the following. Jacob E says, come to Australia, you lazy cunt. Or don't, whatever. Much love. Much love back to you, Jacob E. I appreciate the sentiment. Never been to Australia, always wanted to go. If I put it, somebody, God, I can't remember the name. Fuck. What was your name? Person who keeps emailing me about coming to Australia and giving me names of people who I could call. God, I forgot your name. My bad, dude. But somebody's hit me up to come to Australia, and what I really should do is just make a concerted effort to try to make it happen. But I'm always on that shit where it's kind of like there's almost like a formula to doing this shit. You come out with a project and you do a tour. I did a project, the Cookout Chronicles. Check it out on iTunes, Spotify. And then I did a tour, the Cookout Chronicles tour. It just happened. Shout out to the homies Palmer Squares and DJ Skits. Lauren, if you're listening to this, which I'm probably aren't. But what the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah, I did the project and I did the tour, and I just want to do my mind is on doing another project rather than doing another tour. But Australia's different. I should just go down there. Even if I did one show down there and lost a bunch of money, it'd still be a cool trip. Yeah, I should get on that. Fuck. All right, Michael H. This one's from Michael H. What's good, Wax? Just wanted to recommend. We got a lot of recommendations on this show. Just wanted to recommend. Just wanted to recommend John Wayne, all one word, JONWAYNE''S. John. Well, his name. His name does not have an apostrophe S in it, but when you say his new album, you have to do that to be grammatically correct. John Wayne's new album, Rap Album 2. To both you and the podcast listeners, in addition to featuring some beautiful samples, singing, and instrumentation, the album's themes deal a lot with alcoholism and self-isolation, which is why I think your fans might also enjoy it. That's funny. It's funny because it's sad. Like my fan base are all isolated alcoholics. Well, I mean, that's kind of what I am, so it makes sense if that's true. I rap about that shit all the time, and I still deal with those issues. Really, which is weird because I'm still... God, it's so weird how things are so related. Right now, like I said on the last podcast, I've just been like in my room by myself playing guitar for hours and hours a day. And it's really interesting how much I'm enjoying it. Like I'm so fucking happy these days. I'm strangely joyful. And it's because I'm doing that. So there's this weird thing with isolation. It's like a double-edged sword. It can be like the worst shit for you, but it can also be awesome. The good thing is, if I ever had to go to jail, they put me in the in jail, the worst thing they can do to you is put you in solitary confinement. And I'm always like, dude, good. I don't want to get raped. Because you hear fucking people talk about jail, and they're always like, yeah, you're going to get stabbed, then you're going to get raped. I'm like, why the fuck wouldn't you want to be in solitary confinement? People like me, you give me a fucking pencil and a paper, you give me a guitar, I'll be in solitary confinement the rest of my life. I don't give a fuck. I'll be happy as a fucking church mouse. Way better than getting stabbed and raped. Anyway, Jesus. Then he goes, the album actually came about because of an episode where he almost overdosed from drinking. Oh shit, sorry to hear that. And realized he needed to make some lifestyle changes. He talks about it on the song Blue Green, as well as in a letter he wrote to fans and put on Facebook leading up to the album. Anyway, hope all is well, boss. Take care. Now, I've actually heard of John Wayne. I don't know his music, but I know he's associated with he's associated with like Flying Lotus and Thundercat, and I think my dude Daddy Kev, who mixed and mastered my last album, he probably mixed and mastered this album, because I know he does his shit. But I wanted to share that recommendation because I've heard from a bunch of people that dude's dope, and I need to get on that shit myself. I need to be better at listening to music. Recently, I've been, I've always been kind of like a dude that like, hold on one second. There's some water right here. I've always been a dude that like, I find an album that I love. I can already tell it's going to be this Thundercat album right now. I find something that I really like, and I just listen to it 100 times rather than like listening to a bunch of different shit. But thanks for the recommendation. That's not the first time somebody's recommended that to me, so I'll check it out, and maybe you guys should too. Okay, another recommendation. This is from Andrew L. Ever heard of Alta? That's ALLTTA. They're a duo made of 20SYL. See, ever since the internet got big, all these names. I've missed the days where like you had to be able to fucking say somebody's name. Everything's about typing and text now. I don't. This comedian Gary Goldman was talking about the day back in the day when before the internet, there were certain characters on the keyboard. Like he first talked about the semicolon, which is now used for like a winky face, and it was hardly ever used. But then he goes, and that symbol, that A with the circle around it. When I was a kid, you didn't see that unless Charlie Brown was saying a cuss word. I thought that was funny. Ever heard of the ALLTTA? A duo made up of 20SYL, 20SYL, no space. He's the producer. And Mr. J. Mediros, J. Medeiros, which also, by the way, has no space in there. Unless that's just the way Andrew L. typed it. I don't know. They just released their new album called The Upper Hand, and it is fantastic stuff. My favorite tracks from it are Kinsman and Million Dreams. Also, if you could shout out my homie Mauricio and tell him to Lego my ego. Shout out to you, Mauricio. Lego my ego. Much appreciated. Thanks for everything you do. I appreciate that, Andrew L. And when you sent me that, I actually did listen to one of the songs on the album. I was kind of in the middle of checking the podcast emails, so I only got to spend so much time on it. But the one that I listened to was actually really good. So that's 2 solid recommendations on Wax's podcast. You heard it here first. All right. This one is from Aaron M. from Dublin. Aaron spelled A-R-A-N. Aran. Aran M. from Dublin, Ireland. Hey, Wax. Heard you finished all your emails, so I thought I'd give this a shot. Saw you for the first time 4 years ago. God damn, when you came to Dublin with Watsky. I can't believe that shit has been 4 years already. I need to go back to all these places. I need to go back to Ireland. I need to go to Australia for the first time. I need to do a lot of things. You know what I don't need to do? Go to Vegas. I've been there 1,000 times. Had never heard of you before, but the gig changed my life. I take it back. I take back everything I said earlier about the phrase life changing. Because I'm arrogant. And if I did it, if it was my shit that changed your life, of course it's an accurate description of something that can happen via art. Been listening to you ever since. Me and my friend tried to get you to smoke a joint with us after the show, but you said maybe next time. Would you ever consider coming back to Ireland, and can you explain your Irish heritage to me? Keep up the good work, man. Much love, Aaron M. in Dublin, Ireland. Now, this phenomenon, let me start by saying this. This phenomenon of people, when you do a show, that want to smoke a joint with you after the show. First of all, you got to understand that once you're doing all right, you know, if you're, especially with Watsky too, like there at that show in Dublin, there was a lot of people at that show. I remember that show specifically. That was a fucking fun show. But at a show like that, approximately 20 times you'll get offered for people to smoke the joint after the show. Probably 20 offers. So you kind of gotta say no, just because A, you're working. What kind of fucking member of the tour? What kind of member of the tour crew would I be if everybody's like, all right, we got to pack up all this merch, we got to pack this up, we got to do this, settle up, you got to get to the bus, and I'm like, oh, well, you guys can do that. I'm just gonna smoke a joint with this person I just met. That's one. Two. How do you decide which out of the 20 people you're going to smoke the joint with? You got to kind of say maybe next time or whatever, or are you a hot chick? Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, yo. Don't get me wrong. I will hang out with fans. I've smoked many a joint with a fan. Many a joint. If I'm touring with the Palmer Squares, they'll do smoke a joint with as everybody. But yeah, it's usually if you ask me if I want to smoke a joint with you, and I say maybe next time, it's probably because I got shit to do. It's because I'm working. You might not people don't realize it, but like when you go see somebody that's on tour, they're working. They got shit to do. Also happens very often is like after the show, you're at the merch table. There's a line of people that want you to sign their shirt and sign their ticket or buy a CD. First person in line is like, hey, man, you want to go smoke a joint? You just want to be like, dude, look behind you. I'm going to just basically hold my middle finger up at all those people so I can go smoke a joint with you. I don't like weed that much. Anyway, I think you get the point. I don't know. Who knows? That could have been any reason why I said that to you. I have no idea. Have better luck. If you want to smoke a joint with your favorite artist after their show, this is the best way to do it. The best way to do it is to fucking wait. Let them do all the shit they're doing and kind of find out where like their exit is, the back exit or even their vehicle, and kind of hang out in that vicinity. Don't think that they're going to go from whatever they're in the middle of, walk outside, which by the way, if they go outside with you, if it's their show and it's a bunch of their fans there, it's not easy to just walk through a crowd of people. But tips for anybody listening that wants to smoke a joint with their favorite artist, as somebody who knows how these things work. Have your joint ready. Show's done. If they're the kind of artist like me or Watsky that meet everybody after the show, you got to wait till after that shit is done too. And then go kind of like don't be leaning on the van and standing by the bus but be kind of in that vicinity, in the vicinity of where the vehicle is. And you might have to wait till 2, maybe even 4. I mean, Jesus, I don't even know how Watsky does it these days. He's got 1,000 people in the crowd, and he sits there and signs all their autographs. He probably doesn't leave the venue till 6. You might have to wait till 6 if you want to smoke a joint with him. What you might have to do, stand by that van, see him, light the motherfucker up right there. Don't say you want to smoke this joint with me. Say, you want to hit this? Do it that way. That should be a whole new podcast, Tips for Fans. Hey, ladies. Want to fuck your favorite rapper? Just go stand in front of him and ask. That'd be much easier. Probably be easier to do that than to smoke a joint with them. Just fucking around, y'all. I'm just fucking around. Oh yeah, would you ever consider coming back to Ireland? Of course I would. I'd love to. And can you explain your Irish heritage to me? That was the part that made me want to answer this question. I just want to explain. You know, when people ask me, like, what am I? I guess like racial and nationality wise, I always tell them I'm half Irish and half Cuban. I'm adopted. I am adopted. I could be totally wrong about this shit because I know that my biological father is from Cuba. I know these people now. I know my biological mother. I know my biological father. She is Irish American. She's not from Ireland. She's from New York. I guess I could ask her more specifically to break down her whiteness, but I'm pretty sure her whiteness is mostly Irish. And I could ask my biological father to further break down, because he could be Spanish. I don't know. I don't think he's native Cuban. I don't think he's Cuban Indian. You know what I'm saying? And I could ask him possibly to break that down further, but I haven't. So I just say Cuban and Irish. My fucking roommates are fucking with me right now. Anyway, Cuban and Irish, and that leads me to say two things. A, people that are adopted. What's different for me? It's different for me. I got cousins that are adopted. My cousins, shout out to Nora and Lydia. And, you know, they're adopted by my white aunt, and they're from China. My boy T-Rex is adopted. He's half black and half white. He was raised by white parents, but, you know, he looks like a black guy. This issue is very different for them. Very different for them, because me and my brother, we kind of look like white dudes. Like, we kind of look Hispanic, but we kind of look like white dudes. So, to us, the issue of, like, what we are racially is less poignant than it is to somebody who clearly looks Asian or clearly looks like a black guy. And that affects your life. That affects the way other people look at you. But for people that are adopted, such as me and my brother, in a country where, like, the white male is the supreme thing, you know, all their presidents until Obama, you know, you guys know what I'm saying. It's not as big for me to, like, go deep into that kind of shit, especially considering the fact that I have a twin brother. Adopted people usually feel kind of alone in the world. I know that through my sister. I know that through friends I've met that are adopted. They kind of have more of a sense of loneliness and outcastiness than the average person. Whereas I have an identical twin brother, so I never had that feeling. You know what I mean? So for me to, like, tell you that I'm Cuban and Irish, it's not like I'm holding up their flags. I don't even think that I could tell you if you put an Irish flag and a Cuban flag in front of me. No, I could do Cuban. But if you put an Irish flag, is there even such thing as an Irish flag? If you put that in front of me, I wouldn't be able to name that it's Irish. Like, my heritage. And this is I'm going to go a little further. A little further with this heritage thing. In America, when you say that you're Irish, in America, when somebody says that they're Italian, in America, I would say this is all different for different people. You know, if you're from Italy, if you're from Ireland, if you're from Mexico, and now you are a citizen, it's one thing. You know, if you live, say for example, you live here in LA, and your great-grandfather got here from Mexico, and you say, I'm Mexican. It's not the same as being from Mexico. I would say even more so if for me to say that I'm Irish, I'm so fucking disconnected from Ireland, it's ridiculous. Americans look at that shit differently. Americans, they're just white. And a lot of times you're like, yeah, I'm fucking a quarter Austrian, quarter Swedish, and then the rest of it is some other country I've never been to. If any of that makes any sense. It's kind of a very rambly point that I was making, especially because I was somewhat interrupted in the middle of that. But the main point is that in America, when we talk about heritage, if you're an American and somebody says, especially if you're white, I mean, Jesus, being black is a whole different thing. Being black is even, I'm not even going to go into that. You don't know that information because of how fucked up our history is. But if you're like a white American and you say I'm Irish, there's a fucking 5% chance at best that you've actually been to Ireland. Let's put it that way. Or Italian. People are always Italian. There's a huge difference between Italian and Italian American. I mean, think about the stereotypes. There's fucking Goodfellas. And then there's, I don't really know how to. I don't even want to describe stereotypes because I'm going to sound more racist than I already do. But there's the stereotypes for an Italian person from Italy and an Italian person from America are those are two very different people. Anywho, we got Is this Matthew? Okay, this is Matthew. Hey Wax, this is a quickie because I'm at work, so I can't be getting fucking distracted like a cunt. I'm from a town called Corby in England, and I'm looking to do as much traveling as I can before I'm 30. First on the list is LA, and I'm looking to go in the summer. Do you know any decent places to stay at a reasonable price? Also, what are the main things I should see to make it worthwhile, if any? And who knows, if I see you, I'll buy you a pint. Sick music, sick podcast, sick fucking whatever, bro. Cheers, pal. All the best. All right, Matthew. First of all, you should definitely come to LA. Most people that I meet that are European tourists in LA, they usually do like a trip where they do Vegas, LA, and San Francisco. Sometimes they include San Diego as well. But like the big triangle that people tend to do is they'd spend like 2 days in Vegas, 2 days in LA, 2 days in San Francisco, something like that. I think that's wise. If you're going to do it like that, I would say the places you got to see in LA. Definitely the dumb tourist bullshit that is like Hollywood and Highland and Hollywood. And absolutely the best thing you got to see. I don't know why I think this way. I just think it's cool. It's iconic. I love being there. I used to live there, and I would go there every day and never get tired of it, the Venice Boardwalk. Muscle Beach, the skate park, the boardwalk in general, all the shops, the pier, some cool bars and restaurants down there. Definitely go to Venice Beach. As far as an affordable place to stay, the people that have come here recently, like I think the thing people do to save money is just Airbnb. So just try to find something on Airbnb. That'd be my recommendation. The Santa Monica Pier is a good one, I guess. All this shit's kind of touristy, but I would definitely recommend going to the Comedy Store. It's an iconic place for comedy. Maybe go see some music somewhere to see what they got going on in town. Could be at the Viper Room, could be at the Hollywood Bowl, Not that I've ever been to the fucking Hollywood Bowl. I've only lived in L.A. damn near 10 years. So yeah. Just go to Venice Beach, man. That's what I tell people. Just make sure you go to Venice Beach. All right. My nose is all clogged up. I hope I'm not breathing like a cunt. Everybody's saying cunt today. Everybody in the a lot of Brits and Irishmen. Everybody wants to say cunt today. Austin P. We got one from Austin P. Hey, Wax. What resides in the upward direction? Nice. Oh, wait. This is from Christian W. Hey, Wax. What resides in the upward direction? I just want to start by saying I'm a big fan, and I've been listening to your music for nearly 8 years. Damn, I've been doing this for a minute, B. Sound like LL for a second there. As I, too, have my own problems with alcohol and drugs, as well as struggles to be creative while attempting to overcome my lackadaisical nature, I have a deep respect and appreciation for the art you create. Well, I appreciate that, man. Sorry about the struggles. Anyhow, my question for you is this. Do you see another potential collaboration with the great George Watsky at any point in the near future? Kick Monday is a wonderfully enjoyable track and has helped me get through a lot of shitty work days, and Give a Hater a Hug is simply a fun song. I would love to hear more collabs between the two of you. Perhaps even an album, if that's too much to ask for. Haha. Hope you keep enjoying your daily life and keep strumming that 6-string, yo. Thank you for the props. As far as me and Watsky doing another collaboration together, I did a verse on his last album. I did a verse on his album X Infinity on the last song. Check that out. As far as Give a Hater a Hug, I fucking hate that. I'm not. I can't listen to that song. Kick Monday, I love. I can't listen to Give a Hater a Hug anymore. I bet you George probably fucking feels similar. But yeah, dude. I'd be surprised if we didn't do another collab in the future. My next project, I'm gonna try to reach out and get him on it. I don't know if I've had him on my shit. If I had him on my shit, I had to have, right? I don't think I've had Watsky on my project yet. So maybe for the next collab, I'll reach out to him. I know he would do it. I mean, he did one of my favorite songs with George on it actually was with my brother and EOM on EOM's project. If you haven't heard that, EOM's album called Sun Rain. The first song on it is Watsky and Herbal Tea, just killing it lyrically. It's a great song. Yeah, I hope so, man. I hope so. I love that guy. George just spent a month living in Amsterdam in a houseboat, which is pretty awesome. The thing I like about George is that he's just up to do shit, man. He's like an artist by nature, you know. And I bet you even when he goes on vacation, in his head, he's like writing. He's a writer by nature, man. And I hope so, man. I hope we do something together again. It seems like I got a lot of Watsky in these questions today. All right, this is Austin P. Hey, Wax, how's it going, bro? Glad to have the podcast back up and at it. Not going to write you a novel, just wondering one thing. Got any music coming soon? That'd be tight. LMAO. Been fucking with the Cookout Chronicles hella shit don't get old to me. I guess that means you've been fucking with it a lot. That's an interesting way of using the word hella. Need to call Watsky. Watsky's a Bay Area guy. Is that the proper use of hella? Can you say hella at the end of something? Been fucking with the Cookout Chronicles hella. Shit don't get old to me. Wouldn't you say been hella fucking with the Cookout Chronicles? I don't know. Just wondering, though, if we can expect any new tracks. Take care, man. Yeah, you can expect new tracks. Nothing in like the super, super immediate future, although I got a side project with me and my boy Davey that is finished, and it looks like we're going to be shooting a music video soon for it. So I got a side project with like a 5-song EP coming out within the next couple months, and then hopefully for the summer I have some new Wax music in the vein of this shit I've been writing recently, which is awesome. It's fucking awesome, bro. But not in like the next week or two or something like that. All right. Got one more. Claire from Ireland. Very European bunch this week on Wax's podcast. Hey, Wax. I've only started tuning into the podcast lately, so I apologize in advance if I'm asking you something you've already been asked about. Okay, so the first question is, do you plan on touring Europe in the future? Damn, I'm like kind of repeating some questions here. I saw you in 2013 with Watsky in Dublin. Damn, you guys were at the same show. You were at the same show with Aaron M. Maybe you guys should get together. Claire from Ireland and Aaron M. But I didn't know about you or your music then, and didn't appreciate your performance as much as I could have, and I regret that. So the answer to that question is I hope to tour in Europe in the future. But now I'm thinking about it and I'm like, God damn. I don't think I've been over there since then. I might have been over there for something else, but now it's like really sad. I'm getting sad right now because I haven't toured Europe since then. It's been like 4 years, or 3.5 since I've been over there. I was over there so much in 2013. I was in Europe like for so fucking long because I did I had the Rosanna shit going on there. I was doing all these crazy shows with E. And then we toured with Watsky. It was crazy. Since then, no Europe. Not spending any euros since then. Secondly, what is your favorite book, if you have one? Favorite book. I'm gonna share a secret with you guys. I very, very rarely read books. I don't have a favorite book. I don't read that much. The last book I read was a quit smoking book. I also read this book. I'm not going to tell you what book I read in case you judge me for it. But I used to read a lot. I think Survival in the Killing Fields was my favorite book. As fucking ridiculously sad as that was. But I used to read a lot when I was in my 20s. Maybe I should pick it back up. That's not to say that I don't read a lot. I spend a lot of time reading articles and shit on the internet. But not books, man. Not books. I wish these motherfuckers would shut the door that they opened. Hold on. Hey, can one of y'all shut that door? One of y'all opened it. I You fucking pieces of shit. I fucking hate you. I'm moving out. I hate you too. You heard it here on Wax's podcast. Huh? What am I done my podcast? I don't know. I'm on the last question. You didn't tell me that. I'm moving out, man. It's 2:01 now. I fucking the love affair's ended. We went on a honeymoon, and you know what? We're getting divorced. More like pod crap. More like nodcast. Yeah, nod your head because of how awesome it is. Anywho. And thirdly, I just want to say thank you for making music and answering your fans' email on the podcast. It's a pretty sound thing to do. That means cool, I guess. It's Irish slang, so a person who everybody likes and is really cool would be a sound person. Not many artists would take the time to do it. Thanks again, Claire from Ireland. I appreciate that, Claire. That's very nice of you. It's very nice of you, Claire, and I apologize for that little outburst I had right there. Maybe I'll take that out. Maybe I'll delete that. All right, y'all. Thank you again, Claire, and that's about all I got. Be safe out there.